So this unbaked pie looking individual that you see on your screen, his name is Tres Genko, and he is a self-proclaimed incel who allegedly planned revenge massacre on sorority members. I guess that they ain't give him no play or give him any attention. And before I even get into this article, how much you want to bet his inspiration is Elliot Rogers? Because every time I do a story about these incels, especially if they're white, and mainly most of them have been white, Elliot Rogers somehow is in the narrative somewhere. Either he was inspired by him, or they're going to mention Elliot Rogers somewhere. And I keep telling y'all, Elliot Rogers is the king of the incels. Anytime there's a story about an incel, Elliot Rogers' name is somewhere mentioned. But let's see if this article will prove me wrong. And even if it doesn't, I'm going to still, stick by my theory. A 21-year-old self-identified incel was indicted by a grand jury Wednesday for planning to commit a hate crime after allegedly detailing his revenge plot to murder sorority members at a university in Ohio. Tres Genko was detained in March 2020 after police responded to a call at his house that he had locked himself in his bedroom with a gun and threatened someone that he lived with, according to a complaint filed in federal court last year. After searching the trunk of the would-be shooter's car, police found body armor, ammunition, and an AR-15 equipped with a bump stock like the one used in the Las Vegas mass shooting in 2017, the deadliest in modern history. They also found a handgun, according to court filings. The would-be shooter allegedly posted on an incel forum for 9 months between July 2019 and March 2020, according to Wednesday's indictment, during which time he also completed basic training for the Army at Fort Benning in Georgia before being discharged for entry-level performance and conduct, according to the filing. In his online post, the would-be shooter referred to Elliot Rogers. Did I call it or did I call it? And like I said, I did not read ahead of this article before. I'm not cheating. I called it. Elliot Rogers, is the king of the incels. As a matter of fact, shout out to Craig, because he was the one that sent me this article. And before I even opened it up, I wrote in response to the tweet. I said, how much you want to bet his inspiration was Elliot Rogers? I kid you not. There it is. I'm telling you, all of these incels' inspirations is Elliot Rogers. And how many years has it been since Elliot Rogers did what he did? I mean, I don't think it's been 10 years, but it's been a while. The California incel who murdered 6 people and injured more than a dozen before killing himself in 2014. So there you go. Talking about 7 years? The post referred to Roger as the Saint and said he sprayed some women and couples with orange juice and a water gun, which he called an extremely empowering action. In the years since his deadly Isla Vista rampage, Roger has become a hero in incel circles. Alec Maniason, who killed 10 people in a van attack in Toronto in 2018, which I talked about that story a couple years ago, told police that he communicated with Roger before the attack and that the Isla Vista murders made him feel radicalized. The would-be Ohio shooter allegedly wrote a manifesto in which he detailed his hatred of women and said he was slaughtered out of hatred, jealousy, and revenge. There you go. He said he hated women probably because they didn't talk to him. Jealous probably of the guys that they did talk to because they didn't talk to him. And revenge because, they probably turned him down. According to the indictment, he also allegedly conducted surveillance at the college on January 15, 2020, and on the same day, searched online for planning a shooting crime, and when does preparing for a crime become an attempt? And that's another thing these little incels do. That part where they said planning a crime, or shooting crime, or when does preparing for a crime become an attempt? I've noticed that pattern with the other incels that I've talked about, because they be doing the same exact thing. Maybe not in those exact terms, but almost the exact same layout. Like, they do not change their script. The suspect allegedly who also repeatedly referenced the date May 23, 2020 as when he would carry out the attack. Though the college is not named in the documents, the charging documents claim that the suspect conducted internet research on Columbus Police and University Police scanner codes, suggesting that his intended target was the Ohio State University. A few days before the surveillance, the suspect allegedly prepared a document titled Isolated, which referenced doing something horrible and describing himself as deluded and homicidal, according to court filings. It was signed, your hopeful friend and murderer. My thing is this, if he was planning to do all of this at the time that he was doing it, nobody was going to be there because that was during the pandemic. Nobody was on the campus. So what was he going to do? Unless he, like, well, you know what? He said he planned to do all of this, back in January before we went into quarantine. So his little plan would have fell apart anyway, even if they didn't catch him. But thankfully they did. If convicted, the maximum penalty for an attempted hate crime charged with intent to kill is life in prison. The suspect was also charged with unlawful possession of a machine gun, which carries a maximum sentence of 10 years. I called it. Every time listen, it's so easy at this point. Every time there's a commentary that has to be done about an incel, Elliot Rodger is going to get mentioned somewhere in there, and they're going to say something about him being an inspiration to him at some point or another. Every single time. I called it. But I'm glad that they caught this guy before he, was able to carry out his plan. Like I said, his plan would have got thwarted anyway because of what happened last year. Nobody was going to be there for him to kill. But that doesn't mean if he didn't get caught that he wouldn't have carried it out later on, like say now. But you can just look at this guy and tell that he's off. Like I said, you can just look at some people and just tell that something is not right with them. Like they're not all the way right in the head. And this guy right here is clearly and evidently one of them. But y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments.